Welcome to the Great Man Within podcast. Every episode designed to help you discover and live the great man within you. Hello, my brother. I want to emphasize how important it is for you to maintain intentionality with respect to your relationship to porn right now. It would be so easy to drift during this COVID era with your behaviors, your habits and patterns related to porn, because what I'm finding is that most people are falling into one of two categories. Either you're starting to feel more and more isolated. If you're on your own, you're not living with a partner, you're not out dating anymore, or maybe your partner is across the country, you can't see them, and you're craving touch, intimacy, sexuality, and you're not getting it right now, then obviously the easy quick fix would be to dive into porn, right? Indiscriminately. And that's going to be a challenge or a problem. We'll talk about that in a moment. And then there's people in the other category who are starting to feel potentially suffocated. You're constantly around your family or your partner. Maybe you're not in the space that you would want because your kids are always around, or maybe your partner is wearing the same thing 5 fucking days in a row and that's not hot. Maybe you're not showing up as hygienically A+ as you once did. Showers are maybe later in the day or optional. That's not going to contribute to keeping the desire burning. And as Esther Perel says, intimacy requires closeness. Desire requires distance, right? And distance doesn't just need to be physical, but it could be, distance emotionally, distance spiritually, so that you can come back together and polarize in a magnetic way. And we talked a lot about that yesterday in Alexa Martinez's interview around how to keep the desire burning during the COVID era. So I'd encourage you to go back and listen to that episode. That was primarily focused on people who are living together, right? But porn has always been this way, quick fix way, easy access way for you to shift your state of feeling. If you're feeling bored, if you're feeling alone, if you're feeling isolated, if you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling like a lack of intimacy, there's no quicker way to shift that state of being than to dive onto porn, probably even before you know it, even without a conscious thought. And then there you are, going down the path, self-stimulation again. And it may feel good, temporarily speaking, but over time, it can lead to drift into some poor habits and behaviors. Now, first and foremost, Brian and I have been strong advocates of not porn shaming. We believe that porn is here to stay. That's fucking obvious. And that men can develop a healthy relationship with porn and the role that it plays in your life if you maintain intentionality around that. And understanding what kind of porn actually is enjoyable for you versus porn that is self-destructive and porn habits that are self-destructive. I finished reading an amazing book this week by Peggy Orenstein called Boys and Sex. I might actually do an entire episode just on this Boys and Sex book alone. And it's a book about looking into the lives of boys, young men in training, and how boys get acclimated into this world of sex and sexuality. And because there's such poor sex education, most of the boys end up, their default education is through pornography. Pornog. Maybe we'll call it pornog as a shortened term. And what this ends up teaching young boys and even adults as grown men unconsciously is what we believe a man is, how he performs sexually, how long sex should last, how a woman should perform. Most of the porn that is being produced today, especially as we've learned from Lisa Ann, who is I would call her one of our mentors. And Lisa Ann is one of the top 10 most downloaded porn stars in the world. She's left the industry. She spent over 20 years in the business, really championing women performers' rights in the business where there are none. And one of the things that she has shared to us is porn is being engineered to take you down the path to more and more addictive pornography, not necessarily what you enjoy, not necessarily what's healthy for you, but because it's something that gets clicks, they will continuously produce porn like incest porn. Everything is with a stepchild or a daughter or a stepmother these days because it's titillating and it takes you down a gradually more decrepit path without you even knowing it. And sometimes you don't even like it. And you're wondering why this is happening. And in Peggy Orenstein's book, Boys and Sex, she cites an award-winning doctor and a New York Times best-selling doctor whose name is Emily Nagoski. And she talks about the experience, like why this happens, why we consume porn, even when it doesn't really feel good for us, even when there's like a shame spiral associated with it. And as I was reading through Emily Nagoski's words, which are so profound, it just dawned on me that Emily and I were both interviewed together on the NPR segment when I went on for one of their longest running radio shows. I forget what the name of it was called, but Emily Nagoski was like the expert there, and she shared something similar about this, I think, on that episode. She said, our bodies react to what is sexually relevant, not necessarily to what's wanted, appealing, or enjoyable. Fellas, this is huge. Our bodies react to what is sexually relevant, not necessarily to what's wanted, appealing, or enjoyable. And what studies have shown is that some men who have watched videos or have heard stories of sexual assault can find themselves getting aroused even though morally they believe it's reprehensible, because the story is sexual in nature. Women have had studies like this too, where stories of sexual assault or clear boundaries being crossed, that involuntarily they've gotten wet, even though it is 180 degrees opposite from what they believe morally, legally, what their values are associated with. And this is really essential because our bodies respond to what is sexually relevant, meaning this is a sexual situation. I may need to be aroused right now. There are stories from sexual assault survivors, rape survivors, where they talk about their vaginal, they have wetted, they have moistened during the act of unwelcome sex. It's not because they are turned on. It is an involuntary experience from the body in a situation like that. It is highly traumatic, and the body at the same time is responding almost similar in a certain way as it would if the act was welcome. And the implications of this are, when you're watching porn and there's something there that is disgusting to you, revolting to you, but you find yourself being aroused, you now have a choice. Are you going to condition yourself to want more of that by self-stimulating to that, by fantasizing to that? Because what's going to happen is you're going to breed both an inner disdain for yourself because there's something out of alignment, and a stronger desire for that form of porn as you go down that path to the bottom. I saw rooms of men in Sex Addicts Anonymous for those 4 years that I was there. So many men were addicted to porn. And so many of them were addicted to porn that they didn't want to be watching. Horrible versions of porn that they didn't want to be watching, and they couldn't understand why they would continue to go down that path. It's because they conditioned themselves unconsciously when their body was responding, reacting to a sexual situation that they didn't, as Nagoski says, find wanted, appealing, or enjoyable. And you could easily fall down that trap during this period of time if you're not vigilant in your intentionality as to what porn you are watching and why you are watching it. There's also research that Peggy Orenstein cites in the book Boys and Sex, that male porn users report less satisfaction with their own sex lives, less satisfaction with their own performance in bed, and less satisfaction with their female partners' bodies. I can certainly relate to all of that during the time where I was indiscriminately consuming porn. Now for me, porn has never been something that's had its grip upon me. When I was in Sex Addicts Anonymous and they told me I needed to stop watching porn, I made the decision in an instant, and for 4 years, I didn't watch a single bit of porn. 6 months ago, Brian and I did an episode on the 30-day no porn challenge, and I decided to do the 30 days. I haven't watched porn since. It's been 180 something days. For me, that's never been its grip on me. But what I have learned, but porn is very effective for me. When I do watch porn, I get aroused. It does the job. And sometimes, especially in situations like these where I'm on my own and I'm craving physical touch and I'm craving a new sexual stimulation and I'm tired of my same old fantasies, I can find some of that craving for porn coming up because it could introduce me into a quick fix, something that I haven't considered before, a body that I haven't seen in months, a sexual situation that I haven't encountered or haven't been a part of in a long time. All of those things are quite appealing, and they're growing more appealing to me on a daily basis. But I also know that there's a big part of the world of porn that is really out of alignment with my own values. For me, as I've grown more and more connected to what matters to me sexually and intimately, I can't feel good about watching two performers who are just going through the motions and faking their feelings for one another. That can get me off, but it'll get me off in a non-enjoyable, appealing, or wanted way. And so I've always turned to amateur porn where I notice that where there's a couple that is doing what they're doing because they love it and they love to share themselves with the world, and there's a genuine affection between the two of them. Like, that makes me feel clean. And by the way, these are purely my own sentiments. There's no judgment on anyone and anyone else for whatever your proclivities are. You just need to know what feels enjoyable and appealing for you. And if there's shame that's on the back end of that, there's something to take a look at, because it could be the fact that you've conditioned yourself to watching porn that doesn't necessarily make you feel good. I certainly was in that place for a period of time where I'd be watching porn that didn't make me feel very good about myself, but it got the job done. And I saw over time how some of the stakes started to be raised, and I was no longer interested in just like, one-on-one porn. It had to be like, two-on-one, and then it had to be gangbangs, and then you can go down that path, and it never felt good it just didn't feel good for me, but it escalated because I needed more. So as you are in this COVID era, quarantined, where you may feel a desire to watch porn, absolutely give yourself that option, but do so with intentionality, especially if you're on your own and you are going to be in training now over these next few weeks and months before you reemerge to meet back with your partner who you haven't seen or to go back into the dating world. Are you going to be coming out of this place stronger, with a deeper sense of knowing about yourself, cleaner, or are you going to be coming out feeling not so great about yourself, feeling icky? How do you want to show up at the end of this while also getting your needs met during this time? And if you are living with a partner right now, is this the time for you to go deeper with that partner? Or are you going to be isolating behind a wall, going down that rabbit hole of porn that maybe creates a gap and a distance of intimacy or desire for your partner during this time? Bring intentionality to your use of porn over this time so you can continue to live the great man within you, sexually speaking. Hey, I just wanted to remind you that we have a ton of resources on doinnerwork.com/resources available for download to keep you doing the inner work during times like these. We have a number of curated book lists of our favorite books for men or becoming a leader. We have meditation downloads. We have 5 steps to becoming a mentally tougher man, 5 steps to lasting longer in bed, all of the good stuff. So head over to doinnerwork.com/resource to check out what we got. And so you can continue to do your work of discovering and living the great man within you.